Welcome, everyone. Happy Monday to College Football Time with Avery Miguel. It has been an insane weekend of college football. Avery, how are you, my friend?
I am doing very well. The weekend has treated us very well, even though the weather down here at home was a lot of rain. I was treated to a lot of great football games over the weekend, and I'm happy to talk about them with not only you, but all of our fans, followers, and subscribers.
Yes, indeed. We're gonna start off with the upset alert first. Avery, I did not, and I repeat, I did not see this one coming. I think the whole world did not see this one coming, and that is UCLA over Penn State. Before Saturday, Avery, one of the shows that I watch is Josh Pete, Josh Pete's college football. And when he did this video of potential upset alert, obviously the one that we spoke about was Texas versus Florida game. One of them that he touched on that has a possibility was Penn State and UCLA. And I said, that one is pretty surprising. But Avery, the Bruins were 24 games underdogs, 24-point underdogs in this game. And I just got to say two words about UCLA. Nico, and you know the last name. Finish the last name. Finish it.
I can't even. I'm not even gonna try. I'm not even gonna try. We are
he fi- he
instinctively
finally
aware.
he finally gave it finally gave us a game where we
Yes,
say respect my name. All right.
yes. We are instinctively aware. And granted, we touched on it as far as our honorable mentions for our preview. I stated that Penn State needed to go to UCLA and take care of business. They did not, because of a multitude of things. For being a 24-point favorite, you did not do that. Not only that, and probably even though this is literally the upset of the week, probably the upset probably in the past couple years. This is up there when Northern Illinois beat Notre Dame last year. But I think it has a bit more weight to it for another couple of things. Once again, UCLA's quarterback. Another one, and you may have seen this video over social media. So let me see if I can get his name right. Rick Newhouse is a host of Unnecessary Roughness. His son is the offensive coordinator for UCLA. He was the young man, his name is Jerry Newhouse. He was the young man that was carried off the field by his players. And then not only that, Penn State, like they are now a school like Texas that I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think they're going to make it to the playoff. I don't think they're going to make it to the playoff because this young man who'd only been calling plays, he said, for about 3 days, put up 42 points on the highest paid defensive coordinator in college football. If that does not tell you, and I've said it a multitude of times, to respect the team, whether you're going to their house or they're coming to play you, do not underestimate teams that need some type of fire lit underneath them to show that they need to prove themselves, to show that, hey, if we think you're not respecting us, we're going to show you to respect us. And the UCLA Bruins, this is the best of baby blue I could find to respect the blue, the Bruins today. And we should. They took that, oh, yeah, maybe we have a shot to upset Penn State by making Penn State. And I say this with no malice, but in a way that makes they made Penn State look like fools.
UCLA's offense clicked. 42 points. Nico had 5 touchdowns. They racked up 446 total yards compared to Penn State, who had 357. And they outrushed the Nittany Lions 280 to 127. It's one thing to lose a very tough overtime game to Oregon. Not only did you hear from critics and naysayers that you can win the big one. If you thought that was bad, this one is way
Oh,
worse.
oh, absolutely.
So if I'm James Franklin and Penn State, especially James Franklin because the coach gets the most of the blame,
Yes.
um, don't turn on the TV. Don't turn on the TV. Um,
Don't turn on
stay,
social media.
stay away from all of
Don't
that.
don't talk to your friends. I
So
that sounds kind of cruel, but don't talk to
what?
your friends. Probably even tell your players, stay away from your phones because this week is going to be brutal for Penn State.
And
If it wasn't brutal Saturday after the game, this is it.
Drew Allen, who got questioned by the media about whether Penn State is a football team, you could tell he got agitated and he said, "What do you think?" As soon
Oh
as a
yeah.
player reacts that way, you know that they're pissed. And that leads me to the following. So the Week 7 AP Top 25 pulls out. Penn State is, and I'm not surprised. Penn State
Nope.
is not in the top 25.
Nope.
And the other upset, before I continue here, and the other upset that happened about this other team that got left out, Texas Longhorns, the swamp. The swamp effect is real.
I told you.
Yep.
I said the swamp claims another victim. You we've touched on this before, as far as being not only great college football fans, but sports fans. There are some places we want to visit as a fan to see a game, whether it be just to see the stadium, but also to be a part of that fan base, to be part of that college tradition. You don't understand. Down in Florida, the swamp, if we're not just talking about Florida being like the state is like this entire swamp, we're below sea level, the humidity is crazy, but the fact we have an actual place in Gainesville that when college football teams come to play, if you are not respectful of the fact that those fans, those students, those alumni who come to support the Florida Gators will not be in your ear the entire time to make you mess up, you haven't probably played in some certain places because University of Michigan, you're talking about 120,000 people. The the capacity at Florida is, I think, about 70,000. So you're talking about half that. And Texas Longhorns played at the Horseshoe to start their season. They should have understood the assignment. So the fact that Florida, for a lot of the talk that's been going on about them, defended their home, if you will. You know, the SEC, rivalry of schools was shown that afternoon. They wanted to let everybody know, and we said this, if Florida could, it was going to be close. And not only did Florida do it, but they were like, hey, don't count us out yet. We still have some things to fix, but don't count us out yet.
Look, first of all, Florida Gators, as a Miami Hurricane fan, gotta give credit to the Gators. I was super impressed by their defense, and I was even more surprised by their offense because Texas, as we said it, they're one of the best defensive teams in the country. To put up 29 points against Texas, that I don't even think Ohio State did that in week one. That's impressive. So I just feel that as much as there's a lot of biased Texas Longhorn fans, announcers, media people in general, you can't say whatsoever that the Florida Gators won this by luck. They earned this win. They came ready. You could tell if when you see that game, they came ready to play, super ready. And I want to say this about Arch Manning. I'm not the person that will sit up here and say, because I feel like the young man is getting unfairly, overly criticized because of his last name.
I agree. I completely agree.
It is, I feel like Avery, it was just so much. I feel that is very anti-Christ about wishing bad on someone. And you can tell by the passion of people's reaction that they were rooting for this guy to fail. Arch Manning is in his third season, first year as a quarterback. Yes, he can play, but people are too caught up in because of his last name, they want him to be Peyton Manning.
And a lot of
And
people
it can be
forget,
that.
and a lot of people forget not only that
Mhm.
football is a team sport. And also, if you remember, even when Peyton Manning got to the professional level, he was not good right out of the gate. He
Right.
had to learn. Arch Manning is learning. It is not, if anything, you want to compare this win to what Cam Ward said last week with the Texas Titans. Go back and watch that. This has the same vibe. There are fans that are wishing ill on a young man when he is doing his best. There are certain mistakes here and there, but the main thing is football is a team sport. It's not just on his shoulders of any faults. You have to look at the entire team. You know, as fans of our teams, you are a Hurricanes fan. I am an Alabama fan. But as college football fans, we sometimes root for certain players because we like their swagger, we like their work ethic, we like the fact that they just have a lot of grit. You know, you being from New York, me being from Florida, we're from states where a lot of other people can kind of count us out, if you will. So we sometimes follow players for their grit as well. So the fact that you have people that, just like you said, are wishing ill on this, no, no, no. I do not subscribe to that theory at all. If anything, I hope Arch Manning, if he wants to look at the criticism, use it as fuel, but he's still young. I don't wish that any young man playing a sport, actually any student athlete, will take the criticism and it have an ill effect on them at all.
Yes, he made some mistakes in this game. Yes, this was a game that a lot of people are looking at it and say, can you beat against a really good against, a competitive team? But my takeaway from his performance, yes, he made some mistakes, but I saw some impressive plays by him as well. Gators defensive line, they pressure him, they sacked them. Some would say that he took some unnecessary sacks. Okay, fine, fair enough. But this was not an anemic game for him. I really saw him make some nice plays. And Florida Gators, this is my criticism of the Gators. In the fourth quarter, they were basically begging the Longhorns to like tie the game. If you notice those, they were basically giving them a chance to come back. But obviously that didn't happen. I feel like that if there was an extra quarter, Texas definitely would have tied the game. But they ran out of time. They ran out of opportunities. I just feel that the Gators, they came much more prepared. They were very tenacious. And like I said, this is, in my opinion, the best game that they played this season so far, both offensively and defensively. Mostly defensively, in my opinion. But Arch Manning, just like there's many players in college football and even the pros that I want to see them to succeed. And it's not because of the last name. And Arch Manning, whether people like it or not, in my opinion, this is not a Bronny James situation. He is not getting a free ride. He is not getting a free ride. I'm sorry to say this, but I call it like how it is. This is not. Don't even try to compare this to Bronny James. This is different. In the college level, Arch Manning is doing better than, or was doing better than Bronny James. I don't know what his situation now, but Arch Manning, this is still the beginning. This is still the beginning. He is. I don't see them. I see him coming back to the Texas Longhorns next year and fulfill his 4 years there. I just tell people you got to pump the brakes on the kid. Pump the brakes. And it was so that it watching sports for so many years, Avery, as the older I get, is getting more nauseating from a lot of these sports media, sports writers, even podcasters that it's just pure diarrhea that I'm seeing coming out of their mouths when it comes to certain teams and certain players. Like, relax. And Cam Ward is another one. Um, he's in his first year with the Tennessee Titans. Yes, this is a lousy team, poorly coached, but growing pains. The Dallas Cowboys of the 90s, they were growing pains before they started winning. And winning is hard. Winning in sports is hard. Perform at a high level is hard.
Performing at a high level constantly as well is hard. Because especially college teams, you think pros, as even like we said, as college football fans, we have expectations for our favorite teams, but imagine where these teams are. The Texas Longhorns have this long tradition of success. And when it doesn't fit in a certain place, just like you said, media analysts, experts will say that it's a failure. That's, I'm not saying, like I said, I'm not saying that the Longhorns may not make the playoff to be cruel. I think they may not make the playoff because the rest of their games, they need to destroy their teams to not only get back into the ranking, but the committee needs to look at them and say, okay, you've proven yourself that you can beat everyone else, especially now you're in the SEC, which I still believe is the most competitive conference in college football. And you have to and you have to make do with it. Just like you said, sometimes the critics can be your fuel, but they can also be your demise. And hopefully I do not want this to not only be detrimental to Arch Manning, I also don't want this to be detrimental to the Texas Longhorns because we saw what happened to Mike Grundy and Oklahoma State. We saw what happened to the head coach of Arkansas. And granted, those may be two different scenarios, but at the same time, even everybody else was calling for Billy Napier's head. Now they think he is, the man almighty because he beat Texas. But, the Gators still have 7 more games to play. Prove yourself. If you're Texas, same thing. You are now coming up on probably the most noted rivalry in college football. Beat them. The Red River rivalry is this weekend. You know what you're supposed to do. It's one of the longest standing traditions in college football. If you're Texas, you know what you need to do. You need to beat Oklahoma soundly. Like, you need to beat them badly that your critics and your analysts and your experts keep their mouth shut.
And I can't wait for Thursday to talk about the previews. And that's one of the games that is up there on my list. But to continue with Florida sports, I should say, the Miami Hurricanes, they beat the Florida State Seminoles 28-22. For the first three quarters, Avery, Miami, in my opinion, looked like an elite team. Offensively and defensively, everything was great. Carson Beck played the best game as a Hurricane so far, 4 touchdowns. Thank God, no interceptions. Malachi Tony, he was sensational. CJ Daniels, sensational as well. Ruben Bain, in my opinion, deserves some high consideration for Heisman Trophy. He has just been unbelievable for the Hurricanes. That fourth quarter was atrocious and it scared me. For a lot of people say, no, it's not a big deal. No. Why? Because I saw what happened last year. All right. Florida State Seminoles, they outscored 19-0 in that fourth quarter. There were several onside kicks, too many penalties for the Hurricanes, but they held on. That's my word for them. They held on 28-22. A win is a win, like you say. Win is a win. They're 5-0, and now they've moved up to number 2 in the AP poll. They're number 2. So Ohio State remains number 1, but they're number 2.
This is it's kind of like we said earlier in the year, when you have teams that are put in the ranking and then they play these really great teams, can they prove that they are worthy of, the worthy of their ranking? I think Florida need I'm sorry, I know I believe the Miami Hurricanes now are part of that conversation. We've said it before, you play 60 minutes, not 52 and a half, not 57 and a half, but 60 minutes. Gentlemen, please play an entire football game. We have seen it in college football, we have seen it in pro football. Just because you may be in the lead, no lead is ever safe. Play the entire game. I completely agree with you. Miami's defense looks stellar. Their defense, their and as a Miami Hurricane fan, you are probably aware of the days when Jimmy Johnson loved his defense. And he did. Jimmy Johnson is probably sitting on his boat, absolutely loving what's happening from a defensive standpoint. You know, every probably Hurricane alum is just loving this time right now, and I think they should. I think they should. The Miami Hurricanes are undefeated. If you look at the rest of their schedule, I dare say it's probably the easiest schedule in the ACC. Miami play Miami has the potential of an undefeated regular season. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. For any Hurricane fan, any Hurricane alumnus that watches us, that follows us, I'm going to go ahead and put it out there. I think the Hurricanes have the opportunity to have an undefeated regular season. However, to do that, they need to play a complete game. If you are looking at the rest of Miami's opponents, the one team that probably could do some damage, maybe Virginia Tech, and that's their second to the last game. Also, maybe SMU. SMU, great story last year. They still want to do some damage, and to do damage from a team that is high ranked, because literally right now, the rest of Miami's opponents are unranked. Miami is now their own worst enemy right now. And they need to not falter. They need to keep their foot on the gas. They need to keep their foot on the gas. Their next two games are at home. You win games at home. You're playing on the road, then you're coming back home. You're ending your season on the road. So Miami literally has this opportunity that is handing them on a silver platter. Do not mess this up. Because if you think the critics were hard on Texas, they are going to be worse on you if you do not get the job done with the opponents you have left.
I hope Miami can go undefeated. And the difference between Jimmy Johnson and Mario Cristobal, and I like Mario Cristobal. He strikes me as a very likable coach, and he played for the Hurricanes in those great early '90s teams. He was there from '88 to '92. The difference between both of them from a coaching standpoint is that Jimmy Johnson was like this good cop, bad cop type of coach. And he's a type of player that he wants to dominate you. So even though they have a comfortable lead, that fourth quarter, that would have not happened under Jimmy Johnson's watch. Absolutely no way. So,
He probably would have had players sit.
yep, yep,
He would have benched players.
yep,
He would have benched
but
players.
yep. But to move on, Avery, because there's other games that I want to mention. So, well, give credit to Alabama. Their defense was tenacious against Vanderbilt, 30-14. Unbelievable. I can't forget about that one. When I saw the highlights, I said, oh, man, God, my God, this was a bad day for Diego Pavia. Oh, my God, that defense was just tenacious. Um, and that's another team, like people lay off the head coach, and he's not Nick Saban. Let him be. So,
Even Nick Saban was not Coach Paul Bear Bryant. So there's nothing wrong with a big comparison, but when you're literally saying, well, he's not doing as well as he should, let the man come in and figure it out. There's growing pains, if you will. You have to, you know, adjust. This is now the time where it looks like everything is clicking for Alabama. So, just like I said, you have the opportunity to still do some good things. So, Alabama need to keep the foot on the gas, keep on going.
yeah. Texas Tech, they absolutely dominated Houston 35-11. Their defense was sensational. Offensively was there as well. They are now 5-0. Texas Tech, this is a program that is on the rise, so keep an eye on Texas Tech. Um, Next up, uh, Cincinnati, they beat
Yeah,
Iowa State
yes,
38 to
yes.
30.
Another upset we kind of said, like don't don't sleep on Cincinnati. They do have a tendency, like South Florida, to 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 cause some havoc. And again, Iowa State went to Cincinnati. They lost on the road, and that's generally how it happens. So yeah. If you are a ranked team right now, especially with the ranking as is, and you're playing on the road, you need to be very careful,
Yeah.
especially if you're in the top 10,
Oh, yeah.
especially if you're in the top 10. This is now we're halfway through the college football season. So right now, if we're looking at the top 10 real quick, Georgia, Texas Tech, Alabama, Indiana, Indiana, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Ole Miss, Ole Miss. Yes. Oregon, Miami, Ohio State. Any games you play, these top 10 teams, any games you are playing on the road, you need to be careful because those schools are going to have their student section rowdy, alumni rowdy, fans rowdy. Those schools will want any reason to storm a field to knock you down.
Um, another one that I had mentioned about potential upset alert, but it was nowhere near close to that. And this just adds another embarrassment to his season, to their season. I'm speaking plural, and that is Clemson versus UNC. Clemson, oh my God, that was a bloodbath. That was a bloodbath. That Tar Heel secondary was atrocious. Um, they just had no answer for Clemson from the beginning. It felt like it felt like Clemson had their breakfast and lunch, and UNC didn't have any of that before coming into this game. It was just that bad. TCU and now Clemson gave them the beating of a lifetime. Um, it was it was just abysmal. So Clemson won 38-10, but I feel happy for Dabo Sweeney, who's one of my favorite coaches in the game.
Yes,
And
I am.
that this was a feel good
Yeah.
victory for him.
Oh, absolutely. I'm also a fan of Dabo Sweeney, and like him, he just needs to like not listen to critics or experts. Let the man coach his team. Let the man coach his team. And you can tell that when the players knew they had it in control, you could tell that they were having fun again. And like anything, it is a game. Yes, these are student athletes playing, for the opportunity to play professional. They love the sport, but it is a game. And one thing I've learned about sport is when you see athletes have fun, that's when they play their best games. That's when they play their best games. And the Clemson Tigers, they looked like they were having fun again. It may seem that may seem weird to say having fun beating up on a team, but like that's the point, you know. So, definitely congratulations to the Tigers. Like Miami, they have probably a not an easy schedule, but they have a schedule where they could make up some ground. Also, being an ACC team, their schedule is for their benefit. There are a couple of schools that could do harm to Clemson as far as them trying to get back into the ranking, but you're absolutely right. This is a feel-good victory for Clemson.
Virginia beat Louisville 30-27 in overtime. And Louisville is a good team. Miami Hurricanes, that's their next opponent. So they got to
Yes,
keep an eye on that, not to
they
drop the
and
ball
not only that, the Hurricanes have an off week. I believe they don't play Louisville until the 17th,
into
I
the
believe.
17th. Yeah, this is their bye
So
week then.
so not only that, Miami can relish this victory against the Seminoles. They can they can rest up if they are aware of the challenges that Louisville can pose. Hopefully they don't be the victims of other teams just expecting to go someplace or have a school come to them and think, "Oh, this is no this is nothing. Oh, we got this in the bag." you know. So don't let that happen, Miami. I've put it out there in the universe. I've I've I have I have stated you have the opportunity to be undefeated in the regular season. Play some smart football. Play 60 minutes of complete, intelligent football. You are in the driver's seat right now. You know, off weeks are kind of detrimental to especially high rate teams. So Miami's two right now. Don't be freaked out if by the time they come to Louisville, they might drop a couple spots. But I still think they'll be a top five school by the time the game rolls around for them. But yeah, this Miami's in the driver's seat. If you're a Miami Hurricanes fan, you got to be excited. If you are a Miami Hurricanes fan, yeah, probably not a Hurricanes fan, and even an Indiana Hoosier fan. Y'all need to be excited, like everywhere. Like post on social media, say how much of a fan you are. You are probably sitting at two teams that some people might have given you a little bit of credit halfway in the season, but now you're just, hey, remember when you said we're gonna just do okay? We're doing great right now. Keep at it.
Avery, my favorite game of this Saturday, Kansas State, Baylor. Baylor came back from a 14-point deficit to win it, 35-34. What a game that was. Wow, just flat out unbelievable. The way they managed to came back to win that game was fantastic. Gotta give salute to our serviceman. And you
Yes.
said it. You said it, Avery. Air Force versus
Yes.
Navy. Navy won 34-31. Some, there were some people on YouTube that they troll saying that was an impressive high school game, but I don't care. I really don't care.
No, come
I
on.
mean, when it
These
comes to these
service,
servicemen playing, it's
yes.
fun.
Yes, service and we cannot help but emphasize this. We mentioned it in our early days of starting this podcast. Service schools, these men and women are going, they're not first if anyone is unaware, look up how to get into a service school. First of all, look up how to get for someone not just speaking from experience because my uncle was in the army, my best friend was in the Navy, my cousin was in the Navy. I wanted to go to Annapolis. I know how, I know what you're supposed to do to get into Annapolis. So, first of all, look up how to get online, how to get into a service school, the requirements you have to have. Then the physical requirements. And then what is expected of you for the 4 years you are there. So don't think because like you're a fan of, a top, you know, Division 1A school and you're looking at a service, you know, team game that you should disrespect it by calling a high school game. Ladies and gentlemen, these men are going to defend our country in a few years. So I respect the fact that they're playing great football, knowing that now, not saying that in the future some of them cannot. I believe there's five. I believe there's five graduates of West Point currently that are playing in NFL. I could be wrong. I'll double check. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I believe there's five. But watching these young men play, and we're always excited at the end for the Army Navy game, but seeing these young men play football, give their all, just like we would see a hurricane, a Miami Hurricanes team or an Alabama Crimson Tide team, Ohio State, Texas Long, any other mainstream school that, analysts talk about on ESPN. Don't don't disrespect the uniform that they're putting on for the football field and the uniform that they are going to put on once they leave that service academy. So we'll keep doing it. We'll keep doing it. If we have to spread awareness for it, we will keep doing it because trust me, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Navy and Army were exciting to watch last year. I
Oh
still
yeah.
have high hopes for them. I still
Oh
have
yeah.
high hopes for them.
Yeah, and that's why this platform, at least we have that privilege of, shining light and talk about these service schools, servicemen and women like Air Force, Navy, Army, etc. But Navy, they now improved to 5-0. They're 5-0. Blake Horvath, he threw for 339 yards, three touchdowns. Eli Heidenreich had a great game. He rushed for 130 yards and he had a touchdown. And mind you, this was a sold out game on top of that. at the
Absolutely.
Navy Marine Memorial
Yes,
Stadium.
this was at
37
Annapolis.
over 37,000 fans were in attendance.
Yes, this was at Annapolis. This was at their school. Yes. Yes.
That Commander in Chief's trophy is,
Oh
you know,
yes. Oh yes. Oh yes.
but we got to give credit to Air Force. Air Force came out to play. Great valuable effort. This was a team that came in 1-3, and they did not play like a team that was 1-3. So, a lot of credit to both teams, both programs. This was sensational. And yes, I know people that have joined the army. I have distant cousins, I say, that one is in the Navy. He's been there for so many years now. There's one in the army. So, and then there's people that I went to school with that went that road as well. So as I got older, I admire and I appreciate all these servicemen and women that risk it all and put it all on the line for us. And I just feel like there's, well, not you and me, but there is just a lot of ungrateful, cold-hearted people that they don't respect or understand the sacrifice that they make. This is not for everyone. Not everyone can go into that. You have to be super, super, and I mean extremely super mentally and physically, emotionally tough to be in the position that they're in. It's not easy. It's not for everyone. It's not for everyone. So, but I highly respect and admire everything that they do. And it's an honor, to bring this game because I'm like, man, Avery was right, Air Force versus Navy. If it weren't for you, I would have not noticed, but man, that game, that was definitely one of my favorites for this Saturday. Moving on to wrap it up, two more games to talk about. Colorado TCU. Colorado, they did jump 30, 14-0, but after that, it was all TCU. Deion Sanders, as a player, I admire and respect everything he did for the game of football. But as a coach, I just don't like the way he goes about things after a loss, especially when it comes to dealing with the media. Colorado has a long way to go. They have a long way to go.
They're still growing pains
Yeah,
for that institution.
but Deion
They
needs,
still have a they still have a quarterback problem.
and I know that people say that's Deion. Deion's gonna be Deion. No, you're 56, 57. Like you're a coach. You're no longer a player. So at some point in your life, in your career, you have to tone certain things down. You can't act like you're 20, 25 when you're at this point in your career, in your life. So I just feel like sometimes I don't like the way he handles the media questions sometimes, especially after a loss. If it's a win, okay, fine. But when it's a loss, it's like, Dion, if you're gonna dish it, you gotta take it.
Yeah.
You can't have it just all in one way. No.
And and not only
And his
this is their
decision making needs to
second
be better on
loss.
top of that.
Yeah, this is their second loss. The loss with BYU had a bit of an issue from the fan standpoint, which agree, disagree. That was not warranted from the Colorado fans. TCU, another thing, Colorado is kind of having the Miami Hurricane problem, but in reverse. They're starting off strong, but they're not keeping the foot on the gas. Miami, they're coming out in the lead and they're holding it and they have a tendency to lose it in the fourth quarter. Colorado is the reverse. They are getting out to early leads, but they can't hold them. And their defense just feels like, oh, we did our job for like half the game. Now the offense has to do theirs. And they do have a quarterback situation right now. They and Coach Sanders realized that after Shador was drafted. So there he needs to take, and I agree with you. I agree with you. You know, I'm not one to put age on anything, but at the same time, there is an experience level and a maturity level that you have to bring in a position of power for your players, that they have to look to you as their head coach, as their leader, to say, okay, we lost. Now we need to go back through to find out what's wrong to fix it. Now, if they can do that, you know, they can beat up teams all day long. But if you're being immature after a loss, that's all your player's going to see, and they're only going to give you half the work. You could have all the expectations that you want for a play, and Deion Sanders has a lot of high expectations for his players, especially those that not only take classes on campus but take classes online. He has expectations for players, even with his own kids when they played. If they were late, they were in trouble. So if you have those expectations, you need to have the expectations for yourself. Remember, you are tapping into a generation of young men that need to see you as not just a leader for them, but a teacher and a mentor. And they're going to follow suit.
Enough said. Last thing, Avery, because we gotta close. Memphis Tigers. Memphis, they are 6-0. This is the first time since 2015 that they got out to a 6-0 start. They become the first bowl eligible team in the country with that record. So congratulations to Memphis Tigers. They also the Tigers are the only group of 5 team ranked in the coaches poll. South Florida is also ranked in the AP poll and is at number 24. So they're one spot behind the Tigers. Memphis will host South Florida on October 25th. And that will be a very critical game in the American Conference title race.
Oh, absolutely. Memphis is doing everything right now. They're doing everything right. And yes, and like I said before, South Florida, that team that just, oh, it's just South Florida. No, no, it's South Florida, and they need to feast. And they need to feast. You know, I've for being in Florida and seeing the fans of Florida schools, they enjoy if they can feast on a team that can probably be have a negative effect on their ranking. You know, so South Florida's already done it. You know, even South Florida's in the driver's seat. So Memphis needs to be careful. You know, they get past South Florida, you know, again, the rest of their season looks pretty good. They do end their season versus Navy though. So even, you know, even look to see how Memphis takes care of business at that end. We could be looking far into the future, but still, Memphis, very good job. Very good job right now. You know, first team to be bowl eligible. Keep up the good work. Even though you're the first, you don't want to feel like, oh yeah, we got bowl. No, again, keep your foot on the gas. Keep your foot on the gas. Get the job done. 60 minutes of football. Complete games of football.
Well, guys, that does it for this recap reaction for week 6 of college football. Stay tuned for Thursday as me and Avery we give our week 7 previews, which we have a lot of exciting games. Avery, thank you so much. Enjoy your day off. Enjoy the rest of your day, your week, and we'll run it back on Thursday.
Always a happy day when we can talk about college football weekend. Have a great day, everyone.